So, leadership, inspiring your people, and something that was mentioned a lot in the leadership summit the other day was skilling up the leaders and uh, actually enabling leaders to be proactive with their strategies and do a good job and be authentic. Authenticity came up a lot in the leadership summit as to leadership's changed over the last decade, and it's changing rapidly over the last few years as well. And how are we helping leaders to adapt? The old leadership style of, we tell people what to do when they turn up to work, and that's just what needs to happen. It's people aren't accepting that anymore. People want their leaders to be inspirational and supportive and yeah, do all the things that we want in general society in the workplace. One of the companies we work with was doing I might go back, was doing a major restructure within their organization, a big spill and fill. They had a lot of managers who had been promoted from within, which is it's great for values and culture. But what had happened was they had a lot of managers who had never had any formal leadership training, and might be displaying behaviours that the company was struggling to work out what to do about. So as part of their restructure, they engaged Judgment Index to do leadership profiles on all of their leaders. Um, and what we found was that 50% of those leaders were likely to struggle with the change of the restructure, which sounds obvious. But one of the things that the company wanted was for the restructure to be as supportive as possible, I suppose. They didn't want to lose their people. They wanted to keep their people. They needed to do the restructure, but they wanted to do it um, as kindly and supportive as possible. So they found out 100% of the managers within the organization had extremely high self-criticism levels, which can be good in terms of motivation. And I'm probably my own worst enemy. I'm very self-critical. But if I was approached to say we've got a spill and fill situation and a major restructure, that self criticism can very easily turn into negative self talk. So we knew that about the managers prior to the restructure. 90% had low energy levels around dealing with difficult people and situations. So their resilience was going to suffer through this process as well. And 60% were finding it difficult to manage stress outside the workplace as well. So we knew that some of them had some things going on outside the workplace, and now they were going to have stuff happening inside the workplace. So we knew where we needed to focus the attention. So what we happened was the restructure was announced in conjunction with a development program. So they said, we've got a restructure happening, spill and fill. However, we've got this assessment, we've got a development program happening as well, and we'll work with you to get the best result for everyone in the picture. They assessed all levels of leaders, and one thing that they did really well, the CEO was assessed, the HR managers were assessed, learning and development, and they actually shared their results with their team. So the CEO was like, look, this is my report. These are my areas for improvement. I'm going to be attending the development programs for these areas just like everyone else. And it created a lot of trust within the organization. The managers really appreciated that, and the CEO was genuine and authentic with how, like, the work that he was going to do himself. There was customized programs developed and implemented, looked at well-being as well as leadership skills. So it wasn't just about being a great leader; it was about how you were going to support yourself through this process as well. And hopefully, those skills and strategies would be able to continue on in the future as well. The leaders that weren't successful in retaining roles were offered customized plans to develop. And I think that was critical for people to stay engaged with the organization as well. And the engagement worked. They retained 85% of their managers, and there was a high engagement rate throughout the process. And we had feedback, it's still happening at the moment, but we had feedback from HR the other day just saying that the quality of the conversations that she's having with people through this process have been really good. People are generally quite happy, even though it's quite a stressful situation. They feel like the company has had their back throughout the process. And data that they used to gather through the process as well was they looked at the engagement levels of different teams, sites, working areas within the company. They looked at the stress management levels of their managers and leaders and who would benefit from some support. They looked at diversity within the company, the safety and risk, who's likely to have a workplace injury or incident, and also the wellbeing levels. So they were able to use data from these different areas to proactively look at planning out their programs for the next 12 months as well. So leading with confidence. So are you engaging and developing your leaders? So identification of the leaders is critical, and supporting them to be the best leader that they possibly can be. Authentic leaders, are you engaging your people through transparent and meaningful conversations? And data-led decision making. So are you utilizing data to drive targeted programs within your organization? And yeah, so overall, so Judgment Index looks at recruitment, so identifying great people, developing and strengthening your team, and leading and inspiring your people. And hopefully you've been able to gather some skills or some ideas that you could use within your own organization to broaden your talent pools and retain your great people. So I hope everyone's enjoyed the presentation.